it's Mel, and today I'm doing my TBR of Shame thing where I talk about all of the books and book series that I really should have read already, but I just haven't for varying different reasons. I have a lot of books to talk about for books that I haven't read and I really should have, so I should just get started. The first book series that I'm going to be talking about is the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J Maas. I've only read the first one, and there's this one which is Crown of Midnight, the second book. Then there is The Assassin's Blade, which is the prequel stories. Then there is Heir of Fire and Queen of Shadows. So even though I've read the first book, there are still so many to read, and loads of people love this book, and I got Throne of Glass kind of not long ago, but I should have got it way before, and I loved it when I read it. These books are just so good and I really need to read them like immediately. Also, Queen of Shadows came out a couple weeks ago and everyone's still talking about how amazing it was, and it just makes me want to read all of them, but I haven't. The next book series I'm going to talk about is one that I haven't read any of the books in, and that is A Song of Ice and Fire by George R. R. Martin, the first being Game of Thrones. I'm pretty sure everyone really wants to read this, but no one's actually read it because they're just all massive epic fantasy books, and there's a TV show of it if you haven't heard of it, which I doubt because it's literally everywhere, and I've watched the first couple episodes and I really want to read this, but it's just too much to ever get around to. The next book series, I got the first book over a year ago and I still haven't read it or picked up any of the other books in the series, and that is The Darkest Minds Trilogy by Alexandra Bracken. I just have heard loads of people talking about this since forever on BookTube, and I still haven't read it because I just never got around to it, and I still haven't got around to it, and I just keep putting it off and never putting it on my TBR for the months. I think this is about a plague wipes out all of the children, but the ones that are left have special powers, and then they all band together to save the day, I guess. I have no idea because I haven't read it. The next book series I've been working on for absolutely ages, months and months, but it's still not over because there are absolutely way too many books in it, and that is Percy Jackson / Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan. This is the very last 5th/10th book because they're the 5 Percy Jackson books and the 5 Heroes of Olympus books, and I finished the 5 Percy Jackson and 3 of the Heroes of Olympus books. There are just so many of these, it's really hard to get to, but I'm getting through them, and I hope to finish the second to last book this month. The next book is the only book not in a series, and that is Beauty Queens by Libba Bray, because I got this one, I got The Darkest Minds, and I just never got around to it even though I started it as soon as I got it. And it's basically about how this plane full of beauty queens crashes on this desert island, and then they all have to band together to survive. Basically that one thing with the boys' school that does that, but they get off the island because they're girls and they can do stuff. I mean, what part of that doesn't just sound amazing? But I still haven't read it because I just don't read books when I get them, and then I have to wait a year before I actually read them. The next book is one that everyone was talking about when I first started watching BookTube videos, and that is The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. There are so many books in the series and they're all retellings of fairy tales. So this one's Cinderella, but where Cinderella is a cyborg and in New Beijing, I think, and I read the first 30 pages and then I kind of put it off, and that was a year ago, and then I picked this up recently just to make me read it, and then I still haven't read it because I just don't read books that often, no matter how many I acquire. The next series is a trilogy of books that I have every book to, but I have not read a single one of them, and that is the Legend Trilogy by Mary Lou. I think this is about a girl whose brother dies and he was murdered by this other guy that she meets, but she doesn't know that he murdered him, and they're both running away. I think just YA dystopian thing that I got every single book to when I got Beauty Queens and The Darkest Minds, but I just never got around to actually reading. It. The next one is similar to A Song of Ice and Fire, as in it's fantasy and there are lots of them and they have movies to them and everyone loves it, and that is the Lord of the Rings trilogy plus The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I haven't seen any of the movies apart from the first 2 Hobbit movies, and I really should read them. I have all of them. I spent a while debating which editions to get because if they all came in this edition then I wouldn't be able to read the Lord of the Rings one because the print was too small, and then I ended up getting a trilogy of really nice special edition ones, but then this one for The Hobbit, and I just really need to read them because they're amazing, but I haven't, and I don't really have a reason not to. I'm really bad at reading books when I need to. And the final TBR Shame thing is a trilogy that I started about this time last year, and then I only read the second book too last month, and I finally got the third one, and I'm really hoping that I get to it this month because otherwise I'll probably put it up till like January, and that is the Grisha Trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. This is an amazing fantasy series about these magical beings that are called Grishas, which are basically people who have magical powers, and Alina, the main character, is a sun summoner, which has never happened before, so she can basically summon light and heat, and it's really amazing. And then there's this guy called the Darkling who summons darkness, and that's kind of not so good, and then he tries to control her by making all of her powers stronger, even though she's already really strong. And I really like the first two books in the series, and I can't wait to get to this one. This is probably the one that I've made the most progress with because I only have one book to finish, and the Heroes of Olympus series I still have 2 books to finish. So those were all of the books and book series, and I hope you don't hate me too much for not reading all of the amazing popular series that everyone else seemed to get to like a couple years ago. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you can tell me which books that I should probably get to first because I have no idea. Bye!